Welcome to the Teaching Liberty podcast, where we believe that with an open heart, an open mind, an open discussion, we can have uh, find our way to a little bit more liberty. And I'm Stephanie, your host. And today we have with us Elizabeth. She is a farmer, a beekeeper, and she is also you're certified, or you have a degree in, I'm sorry, Chinese medicine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, traditional medicine. So she's coming with a wealth of knowledge, but even more importantly than the credentials is her experience and her heart and her mind. We connected on Instagram, and we've been doing different classes from sprouting food security to cleansing yourself from parasites. And we have a special announcement about what we have coming up next. But before we get there, I'm going to let Elizabeth introduce herself. What's going on, Elizabeth?
Hi, I'm really glad that we got the tech stuff down. For those that know me and Steph together, she's the tech savvy person. And without her, I would be lost completely doing these things. So thank you for your patience and your guidance and always being so calm with me when I can't get it together. Like she's so calm. So thank you for that. I'm really excited because we've had such a great group. Well, we've had different groups of people throughout our teaching, these different workshops. We even did a constitutional class, right? And religious exemption
Oh, I
class.
forgot that was the first class we did,
Right.
was the
So
religious
we,
exemption
right.
constitution class, yeah.
So we've moved, I think what the whole experience has been is just really empowerment. We've had men and women in the classes, and we've made a lot of friends. Like I have so many people from our classes that I talk to regularly now, and they keep me updated of what's going on. And I really think that that's what building community is. I'm learning from them; they're learning from us,
Right.
and now we're friends. They all wished me happy Mother's Day yesterday, which was so nice to hear from people. Um, so we promised them a trip. When we were talking about all this in the winter, we were going through all this, we promised them a camping trip, and we got it together. We're going camping. Um, we're going camping on the Delaware River. So I don't want to give too much away about the location, but you will be waking up every morning to the beautiful Delaware River. It's not too far from the city, right? I think, what did you say?
It's an hour and a half or 2 hours, yeah,
Yeah,
depending on exactly where you are.
right, and we're going to immerse ourselves within nature, the woods, the river. Hopefully, we're going to be implementing many of the things that we talked about and discussed. I have a lot of teachers that are interested in coming and seeing what we're doing and doing some talks with us, so people will have an option to add that onto their weekend. Some people might want to just come and camp and just lay about, read a book, connect, meet with us for meals, and not participate in the other activities that are going on, and that's fine too. We're open to having kids there. This is a family friendly, kid friendly weekend. What else? We're gonna have river rafting. We'll have fishing.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of things, and again, you can either come and just kinda hang out and enjoy the community and do your own thing, or you can come and really try to get some of this knowledge, or put into action some of this knowledge. I know we're definitely gonna have a little, seed class, gardening class, where I know we were actually doing those things and actually growing the plants, but we're gonna come together in a community and do those. So yeah, all that information is available over at teachingliberty.org on the event page. We are currently taking deposits, right? Because we have to know how many people are coming so we can make a reservation. So go to the website, see how to make a deposit, and make sure that you lock in your spot, because we do want to, we want to keep it small. We don't want too many people coming. So there are limited spaces. So we're taking deposits for the next week and a half. That's teachingliberty.org. The recording of this, and it's 6 months from now, a year from now, I'm sure that we're doing other things. So still head over to teachingliberty.org, see what's going on over there. And as always, if you are a member of the Teaching Liberty community, you get 20% off, not of the deposit, we need the full deposit, but of the final price or of whatever class that we're doing, or of merch. And then there's just a really cool community in there. We have discussion boards, and more exclusive content coming, so much. So teachingliberty.org for all the information. And oh, I see a couple of the people who are in our class here in the comments. We got Maria, we got Alexandra. These are some of the ladies who took our course. Yes, much love out there. Much love out there.
That I get to connect with all on a regular basis. And this is what it's all about, joining community. I know that a lot of people reach out to me when they have questions, comments, concerns about what's going on. I mean, I get so many questions sometimes like, I took out meat and I forgot about it. Do you think it's still good to cook a couple hours later? Like questions like that. And it's just like having like a nice neighbor next door.
Mm,
But you have so many neighbors and you get to just connect with them. It's
right,
probably the biggest positive about social media and the internet. And so
right,
I'm really looking forward because of the way the climate has been, we really embarked on this journey of connecting with people on Zooms virtually to make sure that we were all still connected and helping one another. But I'm really looking forward to connect face to face,
right.
hug
We need that
people.
balance, and I was gonna say that what I really like about what I'm trying to do on Instagram is it's great to have connections, so many connections. I'm so appreciative of all the people who follow me from all over the country and all over the world. But what I really do try to do is I try to connect with the people who I can in person. Right. I've met Elizabeth in person. That was something I made sure I did. Rachel, who's another one of good Instagram friends who I connected with, I drove out and I met her in person. When I gave away books, I went and drove to the people's houses who won them, who I could, and I delivered them in person because I really do think that in person connection is so important. Internet is great. The connections we get there are great, but there's just something about being in the same space as somebody, smelling them, feeling them, like, and not in a weird way, like just like,
It's a good thing you
just in
didn't
a
come over
human
on those
way.
days.
We're humans. And so I really want to bring that aspect of to this and just keep growing and including other people in the community and partnering and highlighting them. But I do want to bring this around to kind of like the big topic of today, because we're not just doing this for fun and community and for the knowledge in and of itself, which in a different time would honestly be enough and should be enough.
Right.
But we're doing this because we are in this time, right? This is the time where we're so disconnected. We've been torn away from our communities and our friends, and we've been pushed onto screens, and we are being attacked. Our food supply, in particular, which is going to be the topic of today, is under attack.
Right.
And what are you doing to prepare? What have you done? What will you do to prepare? So why don't we just talk about, what's kind of going on? Like how have you been seeing this unfold? What do you see coming? And specifically in terms of the food shortages.
Sure. Well, I think that people have to understand that this is not something that just started overnight. This is not something that just came about the last couple of even years, I would say. Growing food to survive in this lifetime is a comment that I've made repeatedly over the last 12 years. And it's just been, and I didn't really have any proof or any documentation saying that this was going to be how it was. However, if you read the legislation and pay attention to what they do to farmers and see what
Oh, that
happens
is
to
proof.
our,
That is proof. That is proof right there. You
right, but
can
you know what I mean about like, I'm like,
Yeah.
now we're
It's like you
seeing,
have to connect the dots. It's not gonna be
right,
reported as is on your news. You have
right,
to be the one who's looking
right,
at this, at that. But also, like, and you're a very intuitive person. That's kind of what I noticed about you is like, once you start to like get into the farming and you see things, you can't necessarily describe them, but you feel it. You get it. You're like, oh, I should probably have a couple big bins of seeds, which
right, right.
she definitely has a couple of those.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I started a long time ago, so I do feel probably a little bit more secure and prepared than the average person that's just starting out. But something we talked about in our classes and workshops, I tell everyone, remember the first class I ever went to, I was like, no way, this lady's got a book of 10 years of seeds and planting of plants. Well, I'm never going to get there. And then now here I am 12 years later. So it's something that you just have to, just like anything else, you have to just make the commitment and do it. And what are things? Well, I made a post today about, the packaging of even organic lettuce. And I think we talked about this, always removing your stuff out of the the packaging material that your live food is in. We talked about living water and how to clean your food properly with high alkalinity water high alkaline water to make sure that you're giving your body and everything nutrients. We've talked about where we get our seeds, the soil. We know that the most important thing is the soil. Well, we know that if we live next door to a neighbor that's constantly spraying chemicals on their lawn, maybe you should do raised beds so that your stuff is not getting affected, instead of just the whole thing. I think is we have it coming from all different areas and all
Mm,
different sides. And I think the best thing is obviously lock arms with as many people as you can in your community. Like, we're doing cow shares, we're doing beef shares. One of the biggest arguments is people think eating healthier has to cost more. Well, essentially, if you go to the supermarkets and you're paying retail, yes, of course it's going to be more. Retail is
yeah,
always more, right? But then when you lock arms with a farmer, someone like me, that can link you with other farmers that have food, and or I can meet with them in some spaces and bring you the food. Even me, right, taxing on
right.
a little bit for my driving, for the tolls to come down to the city. You guys were still getting grass-fed beef when I came down there. That was even cheaper than what you were getting in the
Right,
supermarket.
if you go to buy that grass-fed beef in the stores, it can be pretty
Right.
expensive, and the thing actually too about the stores, you really have to look, because there's grass-fed beef, but then there's the grass-fed and finished beef, right? They play these little games with the labels, and if you want the true grass fed and finished beef, then you're gonna pay an extra premium on that, which again, you're providing that
And you
super
don't
high
know
quality
that
stuff.
that's the whole thing. You don't know. So this is my biggest thing. I don't know if I got to show you, but 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I started a blog, right? I can't get back into it now. But it had a great wealth of information. And I was talking about the FDA and the trade secrets that goes on with the products, and it goes on with the food as well. And I wish I could get access to this blog again, just to restart it up again, because it would be so cool. But I can't remember the email. I can't figure it out. But we can still read the information that's on
Right.
there. And something I did was go through a lot of the chemicals that they deem safe. Now, once the FDA deems something safe, as simple as peanut oil, okay, they can put it in any product they want without us knowing. They don't have to tell us. So, say me and you come out with the same product type. I give my set of ingredients, you give your set of ingredients. Maybe we have one or two ingredients that we don't want the public to know because of a proprietary blend or something like that. As long as the FDA gets like the full disclosure, they don't have to release all of that. It's called trade secrets. People should look up what trade secrets are.
Mm.
So these people that love to say they know what the ingredients are when they sell products, or they're selling products for another company, or they're doing things, or they're buying things, you guys have to understand that it is not, this is a real fact. You can go look up what trade secrets are, and they
Right,
do not have to divulge all the information because they're protected more than us,
right.
the
So,
consumer.
I just wanna bring this back to, like, what we were talking about, the food shortages. Like you said, this started a long time ago, right? Our
Yeah.
food has been under attack for a long time, and so what we're seeing now is just really the outward, um like, showing of that. But they've been doing this for a long time through legislation, through controlling different companies, Monsanto, and the food supply. And now, because it's time for that big transition, right? Digital currency. They're consolidating to the WHO is consolidating power, the World Economic Forum is consolidating power. They just came out and they made a public relationship, and they said that they are expediting the 2030 agenda, right? And this is like this is not conspiracy theory. Like, you can go look this up on a regular YouTube video right now. Just type in WEF and WHO, and this they literally just made this announcement.
Right.
So now they need to make this transition, right? Well, we need outward chaos. It's not enough just to kind of subliminally control people, right? Because your gut, it controls the way that you think and see the world. But no, literally now we need to control what you can actually get your hands on, if you can eat at all. And so, there's of course other geopolitical things converging. Ukraine happens to have a lot of minerals and things in the earth that are, in your phone. they also have a large share of the wheat exports. They're the sixth largest wheat export. They actually, for one country in Africa, they export 100% of the wheat. And then, so a lot of the third world is going to be impacted by this. This causes further supply chain issues, which is then going to reverberate over here. There's the fertilizer shortage, which now farmers aren't putting as much fertilizer on their plants, which means they're not as nutrient dense. So the food will look the same, it'll look good, it'll just be even less nutrient dense than it already is. And we're like half as nutrient dense as things were in the 50s, right? So that's
Which,
what we have going on here. But the
right, which is
question
why it's so
is,
important to grow your own and to really, we talked a lot about the soil and constituents of the
all
soil.
right, so you're saying grow your own, the two things that you can do: grow your own food, make relationships with farmers. So if I'm getting into growing your own food and all that, tell me some of the basics that I need to know.
So when you're growing your own food, obviously we went over this in class. The soil is the most important part. In our class, I show a YouTube video, right, of one of my mentors discussing how to build and formulate a proper composting system. Obviously, for people in small spaces, you would do everything on a much smaller scale somehow, right? That's not up to me to figure out. That's up to other people at home to
Yeah,
figure
I've
out.
seen,
Right?
I've been looking into like a compost bucket that you can make out of those like plastic storage containers. You can take two of those and like stack them, and it's like a really contained small thing. So I've been
Yeah.
looking into that.
Yeah. So
Also community composting.
Community composting is another great way. And even like someone like me, like I have 12 chickens I have to feed. So if you had scraps and you were my neighbor and you're feeding organic, right? And being aware of what you're putting in your compost, I could take your compost and then use that to feed my chickens. That was another thing that we did for a long time when I had a huge flock. Who knows? It will probably grow from this because I always start out with, oh, just 12. And then it's like 42 chickens or something. And as you can see, this is the time now where you would want chickens. Like you want to have some stock, whether you're going to eat them, you want the eggs. If you can, a lot of people from Brooklyn and the Bronx are contacting me to help them set up chickens. I had a bunch of people that are setting up new apiaries in the area, or even I'm driving 2 hours to help people because this is what, we will do this. We will drive and meet face to face to help people when they're putting the work, they're being proactive. Um, what else? So the soil is super important. Another thing I tell people, soil and like bags of soil have gone up so astronomically. And on my
I know,
channel,
$10. You told me that was a lot. I didn't think it was bad, but
yeah,
I know
last year
I just,
I was paying 6 and I thought that was a lot because I just walk over to the woods. You've been to my house and like collect
yeah.
all the nutrient dense soil that's in the woods under the leaf mulch and all of that. And that's, what I want. So why am I going to, I'd rather take a couple hours of my time and go dig up some dirt, get a big wagon
Mm,
full and bring it back. And then, again, you don't know what they're putting in these bags of soil. We have no clue what they're
that's
putting in
true.
things. We
See, that's
discussed
what
how
I
I did
think.
my internship in Jamaica. And when
See, that's what I think.
Oh, we seem to have like a
No,
little
we have
delay.
to see that
Sorry.
a little delay. Sorry.
Well, that's okay. I wanted to just say in Jamaica, when I lived with the Rasta family for a really long time, they didn't eat any processed food. There was nothing. There was no sugar in the house. There was no, any of that. And so I think a lot of us really are dependent on making things that are in a box already instead of just getting the product, like making the whole thing from scratch. So that's another way to save money and to get things. We have an amazing farm near me that grows their own oats. They're growing their own wheat. They're doing their own thing. Do they have enough to supply everybody? No, but I'm sure they have more to supply to some more people. I have another farm that makes sunflower flour, actual sunflower flour, and it's black flour. It looks a little weird at first because you're not used to it, but you can taste this. So these are ways to offset these things that are happening, that they're going to slowly snowball on top of us, and really linking and locking arms with these farmers that have been around that we were not looking for before because we didn't need to. Now all of a sudden we need them. Everyone's going to be popping up. And that's why the biggest lesson is get in touch now, because if you keep waiting another 2 years, there's going to be nothing left for you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you are in the New York City, Connecticut, that Delaware River Basin area, definitely, reach out to Elizabeth. She has certain things that she grows, but she's connected with a lot of different people, and she's starting a farm share co-op
Right.
where she's going to be connecting people with all sorts of different farmers and different people who have soaps, tallow. What are some other things? Like products, right?
Right. So we're gonna have some hair and skin products. I know a lot of women are struggling right now with trying to find good quality skincare and personal hygiene products. There's a lot of new things or old things that have reemerged, but these companies, I'm trying to explain to these people, these companies are not doing the right by us. Like they don't have to.
Right.
So
It's greenwashing. They're just saying, oh, we're sustainable, we're this, we're that.
And now we also have like a whole group of people that are like, well, you need to mix nature and science together and a little bit of chemicals. You'll never be able to survive in this place if you don't use a little bit of chemicals. And I don't believe that. That's just not me. That's like, I have other, I would say, beekeepers that say they're natural, but they still use things like oxalic acids and other things to treat their bees, which comparatively to the pharmaceuticals that come for the agriculture practices from the pharmaceutical companies, obviously oxalic acid is a lesser of the evil, but if you can do it without any of it, that's what you should be doing. It's the same with our skincare, our hair care. Of course, I could go buy a shampoo that's not good for me, not good for my my water supply, going to disrupt my hormones. It's going to make my hair look amazing. Okay, right? But I mean,
it's also going to destroy it over time.
Right. It's still destroying something. And all these companies that come out with this greenwashing, I've been trying different things, and I have mamas out here that are creating clean products for their children. Okay. I know a lot of these companies, they start at exactly this. Somebody needed something clean. They started growing. Then all of a sudden it blows up and then they get bought out by one of these larger companies. We need to support the companies that stay small. So another thing that I want to express to people, as you're helping support these smaller businesses, be patient, because you guys are supporting us, which is awesome, but you got to give us some time to grow. I know sometimes I get an order and like within 2 days, people are like, did you mail that out? I'm like, you were like number 40 today, a person that placed an order. Like I go in and order, but even Amazon doesn't ship that fast. So for me to be able to do that, you gotta cut some of the small businesses some slack too, because we want to grow with you, but realize with that quality, it takes time. We're not manufacturing this at a high level. Anything that
that's
I do,
that's a discussion you and I often have is how big can you get before you lose sight of what you started to do and become just to exist, to make a profit, to grow, to expand. But that being said, I think that we have to adjust the opportunity cost of what we consider time versus, I guess, money and what you can get. I mean, I was thinking about, you're like, I would take 2 hours and go harvest my own soil. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. But I need to maybe re-examine some of that thinking. I spent all afternoon yesterday prepping, preparing, and harvesting the seeds from the foods that I bought, and making sure that everything is cleaned properly. And I felt good too. It was very relaxing.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to readjust. Like, it took me all afternoon. I didn't get to go out and downtown and do errands and meet up with the girls and whatever.
Right.
But,
I think it's time to change our priorities. Our priorities are shifting a little bit, where before you might not have had a priority where soil was important. It wasn't of importance, right? But then now, taking your kids out, collecting your soil, teaching them a little bit of information, taking a drive, packing a picnic, really like supporting that family constitution. Did I lose you? Where'd she go? I guess I'll just keep talking. when we're supporting these, I call them old school methods, but they're really not old school methods. They're really just family and community. So maybe your priority doesn't have to just be the soil, but then maybe like networking with another family to go do your soil together, getting a couple buckets, packing a lunch for your kids, stopping off at a waterfall while you go to the woods to get some soil, making it a trip and incorporating it. That's kind of how you have to see things. When we go to collect our water from the forest, I don't always have time. We're like, oh, we're down to our last 5 gallon, we got to go. And it becomes a hassle. But when you make it part of your routine or part of a ritualistic practice that you're going to collect your water. There's a deli that I always stop at. The lady knows that I'm going to collect my water. We talk about it. And now she's going to collect her water from the same place. So I think just making things a new habitual practice where, I used to prioritize my things differently, and it really revolved around friends, family, things of that nature. And maybe some of those friends and family are not on the same page as me anymore. Do I still associate with them? Sure. Do I still speak with them? Sure. Are they on my priority right now? Not really, because my priority is to secure the food supply for myself and my family so that I can in turn help others. One of the biggest things that I like to do is people buy my products, that's great, but I really give a lot of education behind the products. I froze. So if somebody wants to try making their own product because they were inspired by something, I'm the first one to be like, hey, let me show you how to do it.
Right.
So you can do this quality for a way to do that. Is that going to take away from my business? Probably not. And if it does, like, I'll adjust. Like, I want people to succeed. I want to help mothers and fathers. If I have some knowledge that I can help show them, to teach them, to empower, that now they can do this on their own and make it, that's another way that we can grow and meet that growth, right? Where we have more customers and more growth in that space, is we're actually teaching other people to do what we can do, and then they can help. Right.
And it's growing the community. And I'm sorry about the echo. I thought I could fix it by leaving, coming back.
I don't hear an echo, but I know
you don't hear an echo. There's in the comments there's an echo, and I hear an echo. So maybe like we'll wrap this into part 2 like really soon. But that's I don't think that you have to worry about like, oh my God, they're gonna take my secrets and go build an empire. Like, more power to you. Like, there's an infinite wealth here. The competition is great. Like somebody goes and like, oh, I'm gonna make an even better video than Stephanie. Great. Like, go out, take knowledge, make a dope video, and have me on your podcast. Like, you know what I mean?
That was your inspiration.
Exactly. Like, Danielle, our friend, right?
Yeah.
She's been supporting from the beginning. And she, I've been giving tips about her video, supporting me. I'll give her information and some knowledge about how to record and this and that. And she's growing her page like awesome. And apparently on TikTok, she's like a viral superstar over there.
I know. I'm so proud of her. I love it. I think that it's to the point where, for me personally, and I know that you probably echo this sentiment, but we have so many amazing people that support us, and just like we support them back, and we have such a lovely exchange with so many different dynamic of people, that anybody else bringing something less, it's
the corporations, they don't do that. Okay, you can go out and go to the store and get the same, not really the same, same by name, cheaper, perhaps, but those are the same people who told you to mask up. Oh, you can't buy those products because they're not essential. Right? Those are the same people.
Or your job, you as a person were an essential.
Exactly. You as a person, who are you going to support? Are you going to pay maybe a little bit more for something way more high quality, supporting somebody in your community? Or are you going to run back to the drug dealer who does not care
care
about
about
you,
you.
who's gonna
Who's gonna
replace you with
replace
some
with some
other
other
customer
customer
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
So
Right.
that's just like what I have to say when I think about things. I'm like, dang, it's like sometimes when I see some stuff, I'm like, oh, but then I'm like, who am I gonna go buy? What
Right,
quality
like
is it gonna be? Where am I
that
gonna pay
customer
that top?
service, that customer service is lacking so much, and I know that I provide that. Like, I think if Alex is still here, she had ordered something for Mother's Day for her mother from me. I made a special thing for her mom, and the post has just been crazy, and I was crazy busy, and I was doing everything to make sure that it got there on time. And so, the day that it was supposed to arrive, I'm like, did it arrive? Did it get there? Because I was just as nervous and anxious, I'm sure, as she was. And it's like, do you think Amazon cares about your package arriving or not? Like,
Well,
they
they'll
don't
send you an automated message from their algorithm that'll then ding the driver and tell them, hey, you
Right.
fire you.
Right. And I'm over here like, a real person. I care. I'm sending good energy, making sure, please, post office, please, all those packages, make it in time. Right. So I think that there is a big disconnect.
You're the best.
There's a thanks. Thanks. I think that there's a big disconnect from, because I go through this, like, I'm a consumer. I go through this all the time, and I'm on the phone with large businesses. And the first thing I say, I'm like, listen, I'm a small business. And if I treated my customers the way you guys should treating me, I would have no business.
Exactly.
So I'm very careful when I get to that point with a company and they treat me that way. I'm like, I will look for somebody else, and I will live without whatever that is, because that's
right.
Not,
Also, how you always keep, like, the deal on everything. When my mom always get, like, the cable deal, where it's like the first year's like cheap, and then they back your price. She will call me, like, do you want me to keep your service? Or do you want me to go to the other guy? Okay, we'll extend the special for you.
Right.
Listen, I know my audio is echoing. So annoying.
Okay. Well,
And
we
I
announced
will
it.
part two of this.
Yeah. And now I kind of know how to do
Instagram.
it. We won't be late next time.
Exactly. So,
But I gotta run
let's get
anyway.
this. Okay, you have to run. Follow us on Instagram. All the information is down below. TeachingLiberty.org. Follow us. And
I can't wait to see everyone's beautiful faces camping.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right,
Peace.
guys.
Bye.